Today, I want to talk to you about what I learned about anxiety from a dog attack. Um, a lot of people think that because I work primarily with anxiety with my clients, that I'm completely immune, that I've never struggled with anxiety once I beat it. As much as I would love to be able to tell you that you're going to get to a place in life where you'll be 100% fearless all the time, that's just not the case. We have to live in this world and we're human. Some anxiety is healthy and normal. We all know people who need more anxiety, people who constantly sabotage their own lives and destroy themselves by not carefully considering the direction in which they're going. So, some anxiety is healthy. When you were in college or in school, you probably worried about getting a bad grade just a little bit, and that motivated you to study. You probably, hopefully, won't overextend your bank account because you're worried about the consequences. So, please understand some anxiety is healthy. Pathological anxiety is another story. I have been free of pathological anxiety for a good over a decade now. My life used to be completely controlled by it. But I had an experience a couple years ago that led me to start dealing with an anxiety I would have never expected. My sister was attacked and disabled by an extra large pit bull. And this was her dog, no previous incident. And sadly, this dog attacked her. It misinterpreted a cue. Her boyfriend was sitting on the couch and he knocked something off the couch onto the floor. And for some reason, the dog saw that as a threat and latched onto his neck. My sister, pretty tough woman, and she attacked the dog to get it off her boyfriend. The dog turned on her. I won't go into the details, they're pretty horrifying, but let's just say by the time it was said and done, my sister's arm was mangled and she was in a coma in the hospital. She was in this coma for a good 48 hours, hanging on between life and death. This was very frightening for our family. She did survive. She ended up with about 11 surgeries. And sadly, her arm doesn't work all that great. She has about 30 to 40% function. So it doesn't do a lot, but thankful to the surgeons and the trauma team, my sister survived. Now, often these kind of things that happen to us that are really tragic and traumatizing have an aftermath effect. Okay. And for my sister, obviously, this was something very profound she had to work through. She had PTSD that had to be worked through. And obviously, that's going to happen. We cannot face a tragedy or trial like that without it having effect on our nervous system and on our minds. And know that if anything like that's happened to you, you can heal and work through that. But it also had effect on other family members, including me. Um, and one of the first things my sister and I did was we joined a support group online. And this support group was for people and their family members who had suffered a devastating dog attack. I'm not talking about getting bitten. I'm talking about people who were disabled or maimed or had their lives changed forever by being attacked by a dog. So we joined this group, and my sister began to develop a kinship. She met other people that had been attacked, and she noticed there was a lot of other people that have been attacked by pit bulls. And I noticed it too. And there was a very anti pit bull sentiment within this group. And they were always posting statistics and how many people were bitten. And I began to notice all this. Now, overall, the group is very supportive and good. I think groups like this are very important. But here's what happened to me. I began, because Facebook and other social media will prioritize what you look at regularly in your algorithm. So every time I get on Facebook, up comes more posts, the latest dog attacks, the latest statistics. And I'm seeing this every single day. And I'm reading them in horror because I'm an empathetic, caring, compassionate person. I'm reading story after story after story of other people that have suffered from devastating dog attacks. And as usual, I like to walk. And so I'm walking around my neighborhood and I noticed I became particularly fearful. I now knew where every single pit bull in the neighborhood lived, and I became afraid of them. So that if I saw one of the dogs outside walking down the street, I would begin to think, oh, I hope they can control their dog. And it was a very visceral response. Instantly, my body responded with incredible fear. My muscles would tighten and tense. I would become very jittery, nervous, on the defense, hyper vigilant, couldn't relax. I would want to run, to be quite honest with you. And then eventually, actually, I began to feel really unsafe to the point where I didn't even want to walk in my neighborhood. And this wouldn't just happen in my neighborhood. If I went to the park and I would see a pit bull, the same thing would happen. Um, and my brain became actually programmed and conditioned to be afraid of every pit bull I saw. Now, let's face it, every single pit bull is not attacking and hurting people. Um, they wouldn't be allowed if that was happening. But because of what I was being exposed to on a daily basis, my brain was conditioned to believe that every single pit bull I saw was going to potentially harm me because of what had happened to my sister. So I had unknowingly conditioned myself by being in this group, trying to support my sister, trying to work through what we had experienced as a family. And every time I went on there, I was further entrenching the fear into the subconscious that was leading to the anxiety response. And I do this for a living. This is how easily we are conditioned into fear responses. And I see this all the time. The neighbor gets diagnosed with cancer, and then the individual begins to worry and think, maybe this is going to happen to me. And they begin to do research, cancer statistics, cancer stories, how the rate of chronic disease is increasing. And the next thing you know, that individual is conditioning themselves into fear. If you start to worry about the environment, the toxins in our food, in the water supply, in the air, not that those things aren't a reality, because they are, but you begin to constantly research it. The algorithm begins to constantly present that to you. You are being conditioned to fear now. And then you find yourself, like I did, in a state to where everything begins to look like a threat. Every pit bull began to look like a threat to me. And then I realized what was happening. And it was hard for me to pull away from the support group because I felt like to do so, I wasn't being informed. I wasn't supporting my sister. I wasn't supporting other victims who had had their lives damaged, but it was affecting me. Sometimes we need to pull away and to realize that we are conditioning ourselves into fear. So here's my challenge to you. Maybe you're sitting here listening to this and you're thinking, I've been doing this, Tiffany. But there's some way, somehow, you've been conditioning yourself into fear by what you've been exposing yourself. You've been training your own brain to have anxiety. And if you've been doing that, I want to ask you one question. The groups you're in, the things you're focusing on, are you focusing on the problem or are you focusing on the solution? And that right there is the key. It's not that the research, it's not that the support that you're getting in support groups is bad. It's what is that group, that book you're reading, that website you're visiting, that association you belong to, what is their focus? Is it on the problem or the solution? And this isn't just for pit bulls. This is your health. If you're worried about your health, are you focused on the problem with your health or the solution? Your relationships. Are you focusing on the problem in your relationships or the solution? Your finances. It's all the same. problem or solution, and that makes all the difference. What are you training your mind towards finding solutions or towards fear? So, what do you do when you catch yourself, when you realize, yes, I'm constantly focusing on problems? I want you to sit down and write out possible solutions. That's what you should be doing, researching, looking into. Whenever you catch yourself focusing on the problem, feeling hopeless, feeling afraid, sit down and write out solutions. Now, what if you're saying to yourself right now, I don't think there is a solution to my problem, Tiffany? I feel absolutely hopeless. I've been there. Many of us have been there. Um, and you're probably going to be there again at some point. But the truth is, there is always a solution to every problem. This is one of the core life principles that I teach. There is a solution to every problem. We all need to have that entrenched within our subconscious mind. Even in your relationship that seems hopeless, if your finances seem hopeless, if your health is frighteningly bad, there's still a solution. Now, here's the thing, sometimes that solution is not external. Sometimes you're going to lose your job. Sometimes your relationship is going to end. Sometimes you're going to have to deal with that chronic condition. When you can't shift external, you can always shift internally. And that's what this channel is all about. Helping you to create the change in your life by shifting those things you have control over, but also recognizing that there's sometimes things we can't control. It's that serenity prayer that we all know. God help me to have serenity, to control the things I can and to let go of the things I can't. Um, that is part of growing spiritually, no matter what your beliefs are. It's not about religion, it's about trust. Trust in yourself, trust in your ability to find solutions. It's one of the things I imprint into all my clients' subconscious minds, that you are smart enough to find those solutions, to make those shifts. Even when you can't control, you can shift internally. Sometimes it's just about trusting that, praying, believing. And if you need help to find those solutions, if you need help to truly believe that you're capable of coming to that place of peace and healing, um, reach out. Visit my website at tiffanykapello.com. Hit my Spotify channel, share and subscribe these videos. Lots of solutions presented here for you. And I'm always here to listen, and I hope to hear from you.